All right, what is going on today, chat? What is up? What is up? Another Wednesday. We made it. We made it, chat. What's going on? We're going to get right into the grade review. Mike, what's going on, brother? Mamba, Jesse. What is up? What is up? We have a lot of things to talk about today. So first, we got some good old grade review. Mamba, what up, brother? We got I had actually a pretty interesting conversation with a buddy not too long ago. I made an Instagram post about it, about my thoughts on some of the bigger cards in the Pokemon market, and some lessons learned from the past. But the biggest one that I'm super excited to share with you guys is some of my pickups from a show that I had on Sunday, which had the English voice actor for Psyduck, Charmander, and the original narrator, which is really cool. So just as a sneak peek, this was some of the stuff in the background that I picked up. So I'm going to be going over in detail towards the end of stream. So it's a little bit of a sneak peek. So I picked up some vintage packs and some more stuff. So pretty cool. So I'm going to be going over that and going over some other stuff. We have a giveaway going on that I'll talk about throughout the stream. But we're just going to get right into it. So if you guys are new here, welcome. My name is Galaxy Gaming, and we are going to go into grade review. So what this is every Wednesday I try to do my best to pre-grade cards that you have submitted into the Discord for free, and I give my sense on what I think it would get as a PSA grade. It's a way to help out the community, and it's a way to help out you as the viewer so that you don't have to pay money for a card that you may be disappointed with a grade. Texas, thank you for liking the live. Appreciate that. And if you guys have any questions about anything that I'm talking about tonight, please feel free to let me know in chat. I'm always open to answering as many questions as I possibly can. So this is a place where if you have any questions about, grading or the market, which we're going to be going over a lot today, that is what the stream's about. So we're going to get right into it. So first up is Mike or Jersey submitting this Flying Pikachu. So this is the OG promo. This is the Black Star promo. So let us see what we think this bad boy is. So as a reminder, there are 4 main grading criteria for grading. So centering, corners, edges, and surface. So we're going to be looking at all 4 today. And everything that I'm going to be talking about today can apply to any TCG. So One Piece, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, non-sports, and it can apply to any grading company. I personally use PSA, so a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is reflecting on my experience with PSA, but this can apply to Beckett, CGC, whatever your grading company is. So the first off is this Flying Pikachu, one of the first things that I see. Awesome, man. Well, welcome, man. Thanks for popping into the stream. I was super stoked that I was able to help you finish your base set, man. I think your reaction of getting your de-evolution spray was probably the highlight of my show. So I'm glad you had a good time, man. And thanks for stopping in. So let's check out the centering on this bad boy. So at first glance, the top looks a little bit thicker than the bottom. So we'll just do a quick little measurement here. And the tool that I'm using tonight is just the snipping tool. So let's take a look at that real quick. Nope. Did my internet just crash? Let's see. Sorry, guys. I don't know if you're still there. I might have to adjust my bit rate here. So just give me 1 second. I'm alive. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, on my end I was frozen, so I don't know if that was just me. But all right, well, we'll just keep on going. Sorry about that. Howdy, howdy, Betty. What's going on? So, let's do this. So, let's measure this bad boy on the top. So, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the top. And then on the bottom, we got there to there. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so that should be good. So the top and bottom look to be good on this flying Pikachu. So the corners look good, edges look good. Still going through the motions. There you go, Betty. And then on the right edge looks good on this side. So it's really just the back that we're going to be looking at. And I would say, to be honest, yeah, it looks to be okay on the top. But on the back, we do have a little bit of whitening in these top corners here. So we have kind of this whole right edge and a little bit here as well. So something like that. So I had a Scyther kind of look similar to this that got a PSA 7. It looks off-center. Well, it wasn't, Frank. The front was not off-center. It may look like it, but it was not. Nice try, though. But the top right looks good. Top left looks good. And then a little bit of whitening on the bottom left as well. So right in this section, a little bit of whitening right where the tip of my mouse is. But the bottom right looks pretty good. So I would probably say for this Pikachu, the centering is really good on the top, bottom, left, and right based off of the measurements that we did. And the corners on the front look good and the surface looks good. But it's really just the back that's giving us the main issues. So we have the whitening in the top right, a little bit of whitening on the top left, and then a tad on that bottom left. So I would say for this one, to me, this leans more towards an 8. Not so much a 9, just because especially that top right corner. So I'd probably give it an 8 because of that. Because it's primarily just those corners for the whitening. But now for the Mew. Yeah, you're pretty much spot on, Jersey, for sure. So next up, we got the Mew. So the Mew, centering on this looks good as well on the front. And then on the corners look okay. Let's see. So the edges, let's take a look at the back of this bad boy. So there is what appears to be a little bit of whitening. Is it too late to submit things for a grade review? It's never too late, but for tonight's queue, it's closed. But I would say right now the queue is pretty open. So the faster you submit in that grade review channel, you'll definitely be reviewed next week for sure. If you submit by tonight. Let's see. So the top. So first, the centering on the back looks it's definitely off center, but again, if we're just going by the rules set by PSA, the back is way more lenient than the front. So if you guys have not seen that before, so for example, this left side, so we go from here to here. So I'm just going to call these check marks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.5 roughly. So 6.5 on that left side. And then on the right, That's going to be from here to here. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the right side. So if we add both of those, so that's going to be 11.5. So if we divide 6.5 divided by 11.5, we are, let's see, 5 divided by 11.5. Yeah, so we roughly are at 56.43 is the ratio. So we're definitely within that range on the backside because backside is 75-25 range. But the thing that I saw on this one, and we'll see it at the different angles, a little bit of whitening there. And on this side, you can kind of see some of this weird little like fuzz on the edge here. So I mentioned this before on a Gengar, but in a quick recap, if you ever see these little fuzzies on the side of your card, if you leave those on, you're probably going to get docked for edge subgrade. So if you just have something like painter's tape and roll it around your finger, obviously the sticky side outside, and kind of roll it along the edge, that painter's tape will help you kind of pick up some of those loose fibers on the edge, which will result in a much cleaner edge, which is obviously what you want. So just as a kind of food for thought, that will help you on that. Got it, Google. Let's see. But yeah, you see that little bit of whitening still present on that side as well. And the right edge looks good. So it's really just that little bit of whitening on that top left, as well as kind of those loose fibers on this left side. So I would say for something like this, this is probably what I would consider a gambler's 10, but more so kind of like out of your favor than in your favor. Because I don't know. I don't know if you guys think the same, but yes, technically the back is so much more lenient than the front in terms of centering. But I really do believe that eye appeal is a huge factor. And so with a little bit of whitening in the top left and it being visibly off-center on the left side to the right on the back, like it's a gambler's 10 at the end of the day. So if you want to try to go for it, you can. But if you got anything like a 9 or even an 8, if these edges are kind of look like that head on, I know you can't really see it on this angle that you shared, but there is some kind of lighting happening as well as what appears to be actually right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. So you can kind of see how straight this edge is, and then all of a sudden it kind of gets a little bit thicker right where the tip of my mouse is. So that might be something too, in which case I'd be leaning more towards that 9. But these are all things that we have to consider when we're grading, right? So I'm not trying to nitpick or whatever, and I'm not trying to blow up something out of proportion. But if I can see it on a monitor, PSA can see it in person. So again, we're trying to save each other money by looking at these things. So the whitening of the top left, that little bit of something on that left center edge, and what appears to be some loose fibers on that left side, and the back being a little bit thicker. So all of those kind of encompassing, you're probably going to get like a 9, maybe an 8. So just kind of keep that in mind. Save yourself some money, in my opinion. But again, those gamblers, man. So those were your 2 for tonight, Mike. I'm just going to keep calling you Mike, dude. I know you're Jersey and all, but you're Mike to me. All right. That just is what it is. That's your fate. All right. So next up, we have Yashi Mamba. And then before I go in, I want to make you guys aware that we have 7 days left. And this one I thought was on top of the sleeve, and it is not. That is unfortunate. But we should be able to do it. But there's 7 days left for the giveaway, guys. So the giveaway is my mystery pack that includes Obsidian Flames, Paldean, Evolved, and 151. So click my link in my bio to go to my link tree to click on that first giveaway link. So it's definitely for free. The more entries you get, the more chances you have to win, all of which are free. So just kind of keep that in mind. It is not cheating. Anyone can submit, guys. Anyone can submit. 7 days left. For all the support you guys have given me as of late, a lot of my videos have been kind of popping off, so this is a way to give back. And I'm trying to give more of these away, kind of going back onto there. So again, go to my link in my bio, click that giveaway, and enter because the giveaway ends in a week. Quantum over on YouTube says, I have an Umbreon V from Evolving Skies. I found it in a Love Ball Pokemon. The corner looks a little round. Should I still send it in to grade, you think? I would definitely submit it to grade review, or in the Discord if you just kind of want a generic answer from the community. I will say that those corner folds, PSA, I feel like is noticing them more than traditionally in the past. So if there is that little bit of like that edge curl naturally from the pack, they might ding you on that. I've been seeing more cards having that happen. So, all right. Next up is Yashi with the Blastoise EX. So first and foremost, yeah, exactly, Quantum. So the first thing I want to share is for Modern, the two biggest things that give us issues are centering and corners. And I can tell you, without even measuring, that right side is going to be a little bit thicker than the left. So I would say, we're still going to flip it over, but I would say if I can see that, most likely they're going to give you a PSA 9 just from the centering alone. So I just want to make a reminder for folks that, yes, you can, just because a card is pack fresh does not mean it will always equal a 10, and this Blastoise is a really good example. Additionally, there is actually a few things going on with this card, to be quite honest with you, to where I do not think it would get a 10. So we have Cody, thank you for sharing the live. Appreciate that very much. So we have a little bit of whitening in that top left. We have whitening up here. So just from the two circles that I have, this card will not get a 10. I think from the centering on the front, of the ding in the top middle, and the ding in the top left, you're probably going to get an 8, would be my guess, to be quite honest with you, like a 9 or an 8. 9 would be very lucky, in my opinion, because of the centering and those 2 points of whitening. But I've seen worse and I've seen better, so anywhere between that 9 and 8. But since you got 2 of those, you also have some scuffs here on the surface, like in this kind of general area. I'd probably lean more towards like an 8, but I can also kind of see it going both ways. So I probably wouldn't submit it. And then the Mew, which has a pretty low population for PSA 10, because promos, by kind of like a loose default, they are a little bit harder to get PSA 10 grades, just because of how they're packaged. Cody, thank you for liking the live, by the way. Centering is good on the front, but I think it was just the back. Same thing, guys. It's just this whitening, man. Whitening is... It's always a bummer, but it's something that you simply can't ignore. So like this right here on that top left, that might, like, it's a little bit more than less, in a weird way of saying it. Daft, thank you for liking the live. But that is a little bit more predominant to where I wouldn't be comfortable saying that that's a gambler's 10. If it was a little lighter or smaller, then I would think that this card would have a slight chance at getting a 10. But just because of that whitening, would probably lean more towards the gambler's 10 / a 9. Submitted 2 and both came back 9s. Yeah, exactly, man. They're tough. They're tough. Promos are tough. Promos are definitely tougher to grade, for sure. But yeah, I would say for your Mew EX and your Blastoise EX, both would most likely not get the 10. I would say your Mew has a higher chance of getting a 9, where your Blastoise, I would say, is probably going to get an 8 because of the centering on this right side, as well as the 2 points of whitening both in the top center and the top left corner. I got to get you to check my Lugia out. Dude, I'd love to, man. I'd love to. Definitely submit as fast as you, like, sooner rather than later, because I have a queue every Wednesday. And if you need me to go, if anyone needs me to go over how to submit your cards, again, this is a free service. Just let me know in chat. So next up, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Sada or Desada. We got some pretty good ones for sure. So let me load these up. It's got a swirl. Nice. Dude, I'm a big sucker for swirls. I love me a good swirl. Thank you. I was hoping you wouldn't see the white spots on the mute. Well, Mamba, at the end of the day, let's hope that your PSA grader doesn't see them, right? Good thing I wasn't grading your card, right? But who knows? Maybe you know, slip a 20 in your submission. Maybe figure out what their favorite snacks are. Maybe you throw in a gusher pack. I don't know. Dude, I love me some good swirls. I have a I picked up an Ampharos. Was it from Skyridge or Aquapolis? I can't remember which one. One of e-readers. It has one of the most beautiful fart swirls I've ever seen. Like the creme de la creme of fart swirls. I heard they ban you if you slide money. That'd be so funny. Hey, just, you know, just showing appreciation. You know what I mean? All right. Guys, the last time I did this, the last time I reviewed this card, I had a lot of weirdos commenting on it. And I'm probably going to get them now saying it when this comes as a VOD. So behave yourself, chat. We're going to review the Team Aqua's Kyogre EX. So behave, chat. I'm watching you. Behave. So we're going to review this. So first off, the centering is definitely right heavy. So the areas that I'm looking at, we have pretty much this section when compared to the left section. The right side's a bit thicker than the left. So if we were to kind of put a number to it, let's do that real quick. So if we put a number to the centering, we are going to get, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that right side. Taco, what's going on, man? Welcome, welcome, my friend. And then on the left side, we got 1, 2, 3.5. 3.5. I have a card I need you to look at. Beautiful, man. I love me looking at some shiny cardboard, don't we, chat? Definitely, definitely. If you guys need, like I said, if you guys need to know how to submit your card, just let me know in chat. Or I think Betty is eagerly waiting for me to show off some of the stuff that I purchased. She can probably help you out too. So 8.5. So 8.5 divided by 5. Or probably do it the other way. Goofy. So we got 0.58. So just from centering alone, this card at best can get a PSA 9. Just from centering alone. But let's look at the rest of the card. So right corner looks okay. Left corner looks okay. It's a little bit blurry on the top, but we should be good. So the thing here that I always want to highlight is these look to me like these little white specks. Those can just be wiped off probably with some distilled water, microfiber cloth, something like that. You want to make sure that you remove as much of those little bits as you can. You don't want to give them any reason to ding you on surface. Daft Johnny, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that very much. So as we go along, we have a little bit of edge wear here. But it looks like that is it from that picture. Again, it's a little bit blurry. We have some whitening there that can probably just be wiped off. Now we're kind of looking at the rest of the Kyogre. Trying to look for any other major issues. Really can't see too much from this angle specifically, but we do have a little bit of, we're probably in like, you know, getting into like the 8 range just from the front. And then on the back, so the back from this angle, and let me take a screenshot so I can actually show you guys what I'm talking about. We got, so if we go up here, so we got some whitening in the top right, a little bit there. So right now, just to kind of talk out loud, we're in kind of the 8 range. So this card will not get a 10, this card won't get a 9. So at best, we're looking at an 8, but we're probably going to start going down here soon. So we have in this section, we have some surface scratching within this range. You can kind of see some of that right here. So we're gonna have some of that start reducing our score here. A little bit of whitening in that bottom left, some more whitening on the bottom edge, kind of in this general section. A little bit right here. So now, kind of talking out loud, we're starting to get into that 7 range. Again, a lot of surface issues, and then more whitening. So now we're kind of getting even closer to 6s now. Does white on the corners instant drop from a 10? Not necessarily, Daft. You'll probably hear me if you stay for the rest of the stream. You'll probably hear me reference what I call gambler's 10s. So there are instances where there's like 1 point of very mild whitening, like super mild, on like one corner. And I have seen instances where, people will still submit and it'll come back as a 10. But I've also seen the same come back as 9s. So I kind of call them gambler's 10s because it's really kind of weirdly in the eye of the grader at the end of the day. It's kind of like is what it is. But to answer your question, no, not all the time. So you can kind of see really all of this pretty much this whole center, back like mid-center, has a lot of like this weird surface scratching on the back of the card here. And it almost looks like this is like a little bit of a pit there on that Pokeball. Or dirt, I'm not too sure, but we have some other stuff here too. And yeah, so I mean, we're kind of getting in the range of like, and the brain rot in me chat really doesn't want to tell you the 2 numbers that I think this is in between. I really don't need to trigger the brain rot for you guys. I'm just sorry, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So it's anywhere between a 6 and a 7. Just saying. Oh, I did it. I said it and did it. So it's anywhere between a 6 and a 7. Somewhere in that range. Because the centering alone on the front of this, like, the best it could do is a 9. Because it's around 60-40 on the front, based off of the loose measurements we did. We have a little bit of whitening in the bottom left that I think can probably get treated here just by getting wiped off with a microfiber cloth. Have a little bit of whitening here. But I think the reason why I'm probably going to be leaning more towards a 6 is due to what I saw in the back and how hard it is to look at what could be scratches. It would be very hard for me to believe that this card in other angles isn't more scratched, if that makes sense. But that's more of kind of like a gut guess, if that makes sense. But the back, this whole middle section has a lot of surface issues. You can kind of see if I kind of go from the left to the right, but the light might be making it look a little bit more aggressive than it is, because it's kind of like highlighting the scratches more. But you can kind of see across, you can kind of see some of these surface scratches. In addition to all like the whitening on the corners and the edges. So, I mean, it really kind of boils down to like if I had this card in its raw state, what would I give it? I definitely wouldn't call it mod play. And then it's really kind of like in this weird like near mint minus LP plus. That's why it's kind of so difficult for me to kind of like go one way or the other. I'll explain it once I'm done with this Kyogre peace sign emoji. I don't know what to call you. But I don't know. I can kind of see it going both ways, to be quite honest with you. It really just depends. I think the biggest factor on why I'm kind of leaning more, like I don't really know one way or the other, is I don't know what the front looks like from a scratch perspective. I would say if there is notable scratching on the front, like there is on the back, I would probably make this call more easily towards the light play side. So like if there's a lot of like clustered scratches or something like that, it'd be more towards the 6. But if we're kind of in this like range of like, let's assume best case scenario that there are no scratches that we can see, even though I think that even in this section might be, there could be an argument between one or the other. there could be the argument that it could get a 7. But I think, in my personal opinion, it'd be a pretty weak 7. Um, but it's so razor thin, in my opinion. So I think if there are more scratches here, I think it would get a 6. If there were no scratches, like if what we're seeing is like picture perfect what is actually on the card, it'd probably be more towards the 7, in my opinion. So to recap, um, why I think this Team Aqua's Kyogre EX could get either a 6 or a 7 is if the card itself on the front is perfect, no scratches. The centering would give it at least a 9, but it's really the back that has all this bit of whitening, especially the scratches in the center. But if it's perfect, then you're looking at a 7 on the front. If there's no scratches on the front, but if there are, then you're more towards a 6 because of the amount of whitening and the amount of surface scratches on the back. So we did, Chad. We got our first 6-7 grade. So a few of you are asking how to submit your cards, so I'm going to tell you. So if you're watching me on YouTube, the link is in the description. If you're watching me on TikTok, the link is in the bio to my link tree. So while you are here, you're going to click or tap the Discord icon, which is going to send you to the Discord. Once you are in the Discord, you're going to go to the grade review channel. You're going to submit your cards in the grade review channel. Just make sure that you review the pinned messages on how to properly submit your cards. And it is absolutely for free. I do this every Wednesday starting at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it is first come, first serve. So the faster you submit your cards, the faster you'll be in next week's queue. In addition, while you're here, I'm also doing a giveaway to win a free custom mystery box that includes Obsidian Flames, Paldean Evolved, 151, and a custom pack that I've made that has a guaranteed WotC Hollow in every pack. And it's a fun way to support you guys as the community. You guys have been showing me a lot of support as of late, and I really do appreciate it. So that's how you do it. Caddy, thank you for liking the live. Appreciate it. All right, next up, we have the Iono. So Iono, no, because the queue is closed for today. So I established a queue each week, and then the sooner you submit, it'll be for next week. Because I like to kind of go into these deeper, in-depth of reviews, so it kind of takes me some time. Iono. Centering looks good on this Iono. On the front, at least. And then on the back looks good. Top, bottom, left, right centering looks good. I don't see any obvious whitening. So, I mean, I'd say this is a pretty easy one. I'd say the only thing... Nope, that's dirt on my monitor. It's not actually on the card. So, I'd say it's probably a good chance at a 10, in my opinion. So, Blastoise EX... Let's take a look at this bad boy. So centering on the front actually looks pretty good, so I'm not too worried about that. Thank you for the follow, by the way. Peace sign. Appreciate you. And to start, top right corner looks good. Like your content. Started collecting Pokemon cards last Saturday. Well, first, I appreciate those kind words. Thank you so much. And second, if you have Discord, I would love to see your where you're at for your collection. That's really cool. And thank you for the follow and the like. How nice of you. That's super cool, though. Hopefully you're enjoying yourself so far. I know sometimes it's going to be a little bit intimidating, but I try to make it as not intimidating, rather, as possible. So I really appreciate that. So a little bit of what appears to be a ding here. The Discord is in my bio. So if you go into my into the bio, you click the link tree, and then there should be the Discord icon right about there. So right here on the top. Just click that bad boy, and you're good. You're chilling. So on the front, Zana, thank you guys for the follows. You guys are so sweet to me. Appreciate you guys. Got a little bit of a ding there, though. I don't appreciate that. A little bit of whitening there. A little bit of some folding and some gunk there. Some whitening there. Bottom is good. Yes, yes. Appreciate you all. A little bit of some eye boogies here. Got a little bit of a booger dent. A little bit of a scratch here. And it's just so crazy. Like this is just the depth that you have to go to now to like really review these cards is crazy. Absolutely crazy. So that's what we have on the front so far on the Blastoise, everything that I have in green. So let's flip it on over. And holy chat. We just experienced a magnitude 7 earthquake on the back of this bad boy. Holy guacamole. This thing is cooked. Fresh off. Well done, even. Cody, it is definitely not going to get a 6 or a 7. That's for dang sure. Someone sneezed all over it. Brother, this is gross. Holy. At least it's kind of well centered on the back. But if I did any like markups on this, the whole card itself would be marked up. So let's do it. So we got, man, literally I'm just going to do this. Literally the entire card, all 4 corners and all 4 edges have some whitening. So I'm literally just going to highlight the whole card. So the other thing is this bad boy right here. If you didn't see it before, you are going to see it now. That is a mega crease. Server doesn't show up after joining. Sounds good. You might also have to click the, there's like 3 dots if you click it there too to like open it in the browser. But I've heard some other people having issues like that too. Coming into this vid with you saying straight up, brother, this is gross. I mean, what can I say? Look at it. How can I not say that this thing is gross? There's like dirt. Someone sneezed over it. Someone like flossed with it maybe. I feel like this is like going to be like the next Pokerus 2025 here. That's crazy. Maka, thank you for the follow, by the way. And Zaina, thanks for the likes. So yeah, so right off the rip, the back alone is going to be able to tell us where this card is going. So anytime you see like some of the bigger, heavier bits of damage, which are creases, folds, major dents, and major dimples, you're already at best at mod play or worse. And something like this, you're already in heavy play to damage for sure. Now, if this wasn't as big, there could be an argument that like, yeah, you're in the heavy play range. But this is damaged for sure. Now, someone is going to ask, and if you're not, I'm going to pretend that someone did for content. Someone's going to be asking, would this constitute as a PSA 1 or the almighty, all-desired anti-10? And I don't think so, and here's why. The big thing that you have to keep in mind when you are like trying to make or break for a PSA 1 or the anti-10 is, does it still look like a card? Does it still hold the structural integrity of a card? And at first glance, the answer is yes, in my opinion. It still looks to be all there at first glance, right? Both the front and the back look to be okay. It still looks like a Pokemon card. However, when you kind of look just slightly deeper, that's where you kind of see this fold in the bottom, and that's where you see kind of the fold more predominant here as I kind of draw a loose line through it. So I think personally it would probably get, I don't think I've ever given a PSA, or no, I have. I probably have. A PSA 2. So why I think this would get a PSA 2 as just a recap and not a PSA 1 is the front itself doesn't look terrible, but it's just the back that looks awful. Like you have the Pokerus 2025, You got this major magnitude 7 earthquake going across, but it still looks like a card. Now, maybe if you did some origami with it, you can get it to the PSA 1, but until then, it's most likely going to get the 2 and not the 1. And I also still think that they would still grade it. So if it's too bad, then they won't even grade it. But just maybe do like a origami bird or make it into a paper airplane or something. I don't know. Try to go after that PSA 1. But it's my opinion on that. And then the Charizard EX. This one also is a very dirty Pokemon. Sounds good. Thank you, man. I'll definitely take a look after stream. I'm sure you'll be fine. And if not, we'll let you know. We'll definitely let you know. All right, so I have a feeling that we're kind of in the same boat as the Blastoise EX. This thing, this edge, holy. I feel like I'm just like more roasting your cards than anything. Because this right edge, dude, this thing is cooked. Like that is cooked beyond belief. It literally looks like one of those old school erasers, like on a pencil, where it just gets like super dark. That's rough. But not nearly as bad as the Blastoise. I will say that. Not nearly bad as the Blastoise. But there is a lot of dirt, a lot of grime. I can kind of see it all on the bottom here. But a lot of this stuff here, like all this gunk and whatnot, that can be easily wiped off with a little bit of distilled water, and a Q-tip and or a microfiber cloth. So I would probably say in the current state that it's in, just knowing, you know, if that's left untreated, you're probably looking at like damage still for sure. But in this case, the one thing that I'm not seeing is any like what we saw in the Blastoise EX, no creases, no dents, no folds, aside from this mild like edge wear, which is kind of like leaning more towards a fold, because it is really aggressive edge wear. I would say this one's probably a bump up, and probably get a 3, just due to that kind of wear and tear, especially on the back, is really predominant. And then last, I'm really worried about this Pikachu. I can. This one's way better. Okay, this one's way better than your Blastoise and your Charizard for sure. Centering is really good. The corners look really good. Just dirty. Just dirty, dirty, dirty. The surface looks okay from like a scratch perspective, but again, just all this like Pikachu's got like a forehead booger going on. I don't really know about that. Some more edge stuff. Oh, I agree, Cad. The Pikachu, like the Pikachu EX, the Venusaur EX, the Blastoise, and the Charizard from this promo set is super cool. And my boy, my favorite Pokemon right here, Jolteon, chilling. Yeah, so the corners and centering look good. It's just dirty, really. Because there's mild surface scratches, centering looks okay. There's not a lot of whitening on the edges, to be fair. Is a 10 hard to get with fresh cards? If you're talking about from like pulling from a pack, for modern it's way easier. But there is that still degree of difficulty, especially with we kind of call them pack folds here. In addition to like those little bits of whitening on the corners. So just but you know, there's a range. Some are easier to grade than others, but traditionally 10s are pretty hard to get, in general. Thanks for liking the live again, by the way. I appreciate you. So yeah, I would say this card, you're probably looking at a moderately played or a 5, in my opinion. I don't see a lot of scratches on the front, which is actually really surprising. Just a lot of dirt. Just a lot of dirt. And then on here, like some very mild edge wear on the sides, but just, I don't know what this is in the center. I don't know if that's dirt or like a dent, not like a dent, but like a lot of like scratching in that one spot. And if I had this in person, like in the current state that it's in, especially like all this like weird edge stuff. It's a little bit blurrier on the left side. You guys probably might not be able to see it as clearly, but it does look a little bit to me that all the edges are a little bit whitened, but the blur makes it a little bit difficult to really pinpoint. But I would guess that this would probably get a 5 in the current state that it's in. But that's just me. Perfect. So I am caught up with that. So as a reminder, guys, before I go on, so the one thing I'm going to be talking about here in just a second is talking about kind of the current state of the Pokemon market and kind of like an epiphany that I had not too long ago, which we'll talk about in a second. But as a reminder, I am doing a giveaway this week that I'll explain a little bit more as I go through. I had a show this Sunday. I'm actually going to go over all that stuff you guys see here in the back is stuff that I picked up at the show this last Sunday. So super excited to share that with you guys soon once I'm done kind of talking about my conversation here. Because there's a lot to talk about. It's really, there's a lot going on with the Pokemon market. So we're gonna, I figured I'd kind of give my 2 cents, talk about kind of my thoughts on it. And honestly, I kind of want to hear your guys' feedback too after it's kind of all said and done. Kind of, I've spoken my piece a little bit. So we'll kind of pop up some of this stuff here real quick. So really the big thing, kind of the main focus on where this conversation really kind of came from is seeing a lot of like, I saw not too long ago that the Pikachu with gray felt hat is the most graded card. Yes, it was. Here, another quick peek. You ready? Don't spoil. It's going to happen after what I'm about to talk about, but yes. We have base set 2 and some other packs in there. But yes, that guy, I picked those up from Sunday's show. And I'm going to go over everything that I picked up for the most part. But we'll go over that after. What I want to talk about is the Pokemon market. So, one of the things that still doesn't really kind of sit well with me is how crazy a lot of the cards have been skyrocketing in price. Kind of leading into the 30th anniversary, leading into Mega Evolution and Phantasmal Flame, and kind of like trying to figure it all out, right? Like, why are prices going up so high? Why did the Wall Street Journal article like really send everyone in a kind of tailspin? And I think it's really important to kind of sit back and kind of talk about it and tell you guys kind of how I process this, and maybe it'll help someone not experience as much FOMO. So the first thing that I actually thought about, and I don't know if you guys remember this back in history class, was the first kind of instance of a true market crash, which was the tulip market of is like 1637, I believe it was, where in short, as a quick history lesson, tulip bulbs were seen as this very luxurious item among people who were very wealthy at the time. So much so that speculation and demand drove tulip bulbs, like I'm talking the flower, drove up so much that tulip bulbs became more expensive than a house at the time. So all these people were buying, and all these like kind of pre-sales or all these people trying to sell and try to get these contracts were just crazy, crazy, crazy expensive. But then it kind of came to the point where buyers stopped buying because all the wealthy people already had these things and they're not buying, kind of like there's no reason for them to buy from each other. And so that speculation plummeted and the confidence plummeted, which resulted in like that artificial demand becoming zero almost overnight, which caused all the prices to tank. So why I'm saying this little history lesson is that this should be something that we always look at as a whole when we're talking about a speculative market. So a good example that I was thinking of was the Pikachu with gray felt hat, one of the highest graded card ever by PSA for Pokemon specifically. So you can kind of see here, and maybe you might not be able to. So this card has had roughly, let me see if I can find it again. So 92,980 copies of the Pikachu with gray felt hat have been graded, out of which 43,370 are PSA 10. So that is a lot of supply for a modern card. However, the price now is roughly, like, let's say for argument's sake, it's around plus 2,000 in terms of market price. And that is a little odd to me. And I'll tell you why. The fact that a modern card has such a high gem rate and is the most graded card ever in Pokemon by PSA, that the price is driving so high that it's telling me that investors, the surge of investors and the surge of these like kind of whales that don't mind gambling a little bit, are buying this card in anticipation that it will do a return on the investment. But as that happens, so the higher you go, right? So the higher the price gets driven, they get all bought up from collectors. Like collectors started selling them. You know, it goes to 2,000, 2,500, probably 3,000, to where the amount of people who own the Pikachu with gray felt hat is primarily just investors and whales, where collectors who want the card, you've driven that entire market share out of the equation because it is so expensive. And so as a result, what happens is, okay, let's say the Pikachu with gray felt hat, right? So let's say that we have it at, let me just do this real quick. The almighty paint program. So, right, so we have the Pikachu, let's say that it's at, 2,500, right? So we have the Pikachu with gray felt hat at 2,500. The market looks, who's buying it? No one's buying it because investors, like I was talking about with the tulips, investors are not buying from other investors. Whales are not buying from whales. So, okay, so no one's buying the card. People are trying to sell, trying to cash in on their investment, so we have to lower the price. So, okay, we lower it down to, let's say, we drop it from 25 to now 2,000, right? And so the market checks again. What collectors are now willing to pay $2,000 for the card? And let's say, let's say 1 to 2 sales happen, just as an example. The market reacts to these 1 to 2 sales and says, hey, there's now activity of this $2,000 Pikachu with gray felt hat. So the market will now go down to, like, let's say roughly 2,250. We'll kind of just like split the difference here, right? So we'll call it 2,250. It'll keep repeating until the collector is willing to consistently pay for the price. But until then, investors control the population. So why would they buy from each other if they already have the card, or in this case hundreds of the same copy, right? There's no reason for them to purchase from each other. So what's happening is that there's this degree of FOMO that's artificially driving scarcity. But the Pikachu with gray felt hat, there's 43,370 copies of the PSA 10 in existence. So it's not a supply issue, but the scarcity is making it so that it's artificially presenting as though the population is so much lower than it actually is. So what's going to end up happening is the prices are eventually going to have to go down when, and they're going to, and I'm not saying that they're not going to go down anytime soon. I'm not saying that at all. We have the 30th anniversary coming up. But what I am saying is you go 10, 15, 20 years down the line, and people are all going to try to dump their Pikachu with gray felt hats at the same time. They're going to have to look for collectors that are going to be willing to pay $5,000 for the Pikachu with gray felt hat. And then when no one wants to, when the collectors that don't have the card don't want to pay $5,000, the investors and whales are going to have to reduce the price until it gets to a point where the collectors are willing to buy it. So that's why, in my opinion, from an investment perspective, it's better to invest in vintage that warrants the high price and warrants a natural scarcity or a natural supply like a smaller supply, like the Pikachu Illustrator or Gold Stars as 10s or Shinings as 10s. They're just so much harder to grade because they're vintage, and the supply is much lower because they weren't being printed as much back then. That's why the Rayquaza Gold Star is so expensive. That's why the Charizard Gold Star PSA 10 is so expensive. That's why the Shadowless PSA 10s are so expensive, right? That makes sense to me. But Umbreon VMAXs, Pikachu Gray Felt Hat, Mew EX, all these cards skyrocketing in price. There are some instances I will kind of admit that some of like the big chases from big sets, like the Umbreon, warrants that little bit of a premium in terms of price, but it still has like 13,000 or 18,000 copies graded as a 10. So yeah, 18,000. So really at the end of the day, just don't fall victim to FOMO and know that these prices are going up because investors are speculating the market and seeing how high this card will go. But there will be a time where they have to sell it if they want to return on their investment. And everyone that has the card is going to be left holding the bag because they're not going to want to buy from each other. And so the price is going to have to go down naturally to meet back with the collectors that they just alienated throughout the entire process. I don't think you should sell your Umbreon. I would say definitely wait. Wait for the 30th anniversary. Like what I'm talking about will not happen for a very long time. Like I'm saying like 15 years down the line, 10, 15, 20 years down the line. Because there's going to be a point where us, like, let's say, I'm 30, 33. So let's say like in 20 years or 30 years when I'm looking to retire, like 63, 73, right? Let's say I have 100 Pikachu Gray Felt hats that I now want to sell at the same time. All of us that were doing that for 30 years ago are now going to have all these Pikachu Gray Felt hats and like, hey, let me sell them. But then everyone's going to dump them at the same time. And then everyone's going to outcompete each other because like, hey, we don't have that much left time-wise. We got to sell these cards. And so that's kind of what I'm getting at is like it will happen naturally, but just know if you're buying a card from an investment perspective, when it's time to cash in on that investment, just know that all these other people are thinking the same thing, and they're all going to try to dump the moment they notice that price is going down because it's like, oh, time to sell. So just kind of keep that in mind. So at the end of the day, collect what you like. Don't fall victim to FOMO, and especially with online social media being very heavily influential. Just don't fall for it. But buy what you like at the end of the day. How do you join the Discord? If you click the link in the bio and go right here. So click or tap that Discord icon on the top of my link tree, and then it should direct you to the Discord. And then while you guys are in my link tree, I do have a giveaway going on as a reminder to win one of my free mystery boxes that has an Obsidian Flame pack, Paldean Evolve pack, 151, and a custom pack that I made that has a guaranteed Wizards of the Coast Holo, light play or better. And it's fun. It's a fun little product to open. So now that you guys are done listening to my ramblings, we are going to go over what I had at a show not too long ago. So thank you guys for being so patient with me. And we're going to go over my thoughts on this show that I had. So if you guys made it this long, congratulations. So we're just going to get right into it. Let me just turn on just in case I have a little, you can kind of see right there. Just going to make sure that is working. But yeah, we got some pretty interesting packs on Sunday. So the Sunday show, for those of you who are new here, I vend in the New York area. And this Sunday show was the first of its kind in the area that was specific for like non-sports, but primarily Pokemon. The primary focus was Pokemon. So I was a little hesitant at first. I'm not going to lie, because it was the first time. I didn't really know how the kind of advertisements of the show were going to go. but I was pleasantly surprised, to say the least. We recently got back into collecting scene, and one of the things we were surprised by was the Umbreon is so popular now. What's the story behind that? Is there a story? I would say the short version is that it is the biggest chase from probably one of the best modern sets in a very long time. So Evolving Skies as a whole probably has some of the best cards to get. It has Charizard, Rayquaza, and Umbreon. So that's primarily why um, it's so expensive. And kind of what I was just talking about with the Pikachu with gray felt hat, a lot of folks are seeing kind of those combinations, or like that's like the rare perfect storm for modern. They're now seeing it as more of an investment. So a lot of investors are coming into the space. I'm investing in that Umbreon, where that price has just been going up crazy. But even the older Umbreon cards went up too, like Umbreon Prime. Yeah, it's strictly a popularity contest at the end of the day. A lot of like the Pokemon that will kind of always kind of go up are gonna be Gengar, Pikachu, Charizard, Rayquaza, and Umbreon are probably the big five. And you came back just in time, Betty. And some other ones here and there, like Mew is probably another one as well. Um, so yeah, definitely, yeah, like your Umbreon Prime, definitely would be kind of slightly impact. Okay, I just got a Detective Pikachu PSA 10, dude. That's sick. Okay, so the show that I had was really fun. One of the biggest things that I noticed was not a lot of, and honestly, potential. You might be able to kind of tell me from your experience. I got a lot of feedback saying that there really wasn't a lot of people buying at the show at prices that should have been available to folks, which tells me that in this show specifically, or probably shows moving forward, a lot of folks are going into debt to try to appear as though they have a lot of product. And if you guys are wondering, and I'm going to make a video soon, but if you guys are vending, definitely don't go into debt, or at least try not to. It's very easy to feel like you need to have the best like case in the room, but if you're not buying, you're losing out on those opportunities, and you're losing out on those customer relationship opportunities. Um, Feels good being a Raichu fan, but not good, Mary. Right, dude. Yeah, that's tough, man. Um, so it didn't seem like there was a lot of people buying. Um, yeah, and that's honestly the reason is because a lot of people are going into debt to buy stuff, and it's not smart because it's just not. But I'll go over some of the stuff that I got at the show. So, for example, this one older gentleman, who was very, very nice, was walking around with a cardboard box with a bunch of stuff. And he was asking, like, hey, are you interested in anything? And he had stuff that I would never thought someone would bring in a cardboard box. And it was vintage stuff. So like so we had the fossil base set and then some base set 2. So it was all loose in a box, and I asked him, I don't have like I would say the stuff that he had brought with him easily was like I don't know, anywhere from like 20 grand to 40 grand if I were to be like loose, which was crazy. And so, I asked him like, am I able to kind of pick and choose? And he said, yeah, go for it. Him and his brother bought a storage unit like 20 years ago from some game store in Connecticut, and they're just kind of cashing in. To be quite honest with you, they're just starting to cash in on their investment. And the ones that I bought from the box that I thought would be really cool was these vintage packs. They all looked legitimate. The guy's story kind of made sense. Um, they were loose, yeah. They were just chilling in his box. And they were in really good shape too. Um, so they're super, super nice, super crisp. Luckily I had some of these acrylic cases that I kind of put these packs into. And the big thing, and I kind of wanted to talk about it because some people have varying opinions, and I think it's really important to kind of highlight this. Is I actually weighed these packs, and so some of you might be wondering, well, why would I weigh packs? Um, is because with vintage specifically, you either have to choose one or two roads. You either have to choose the road of never weighing a pack and kind of selling it between the average, or you weigh them and sell them as like dependent on the weight of the pack. And I am more in the camp of, especially for vintage, um, there's some degree of being able to weigh a pack to kind of help if the pack is being tampered with, like if there's glue and it weighs more. But just giving people the option to choose. And so luckily these packs were not weighed, which was crazy. So what I ended up doing was I used a scale and I weighed some of these packs. Um, and so I put them in these little sleeves. The big thing with packs, especially of vintage, is having a security seal. So when these are opened, I know not to accept them back or whatever. But three of them were over. I never, because I don't have a lot of experience with these often. But anything above 21 has a higher chance of having a hollow inside. And so all three of the ones that are in the acrylic have a higher chance of having a hollow inside, so which is really cool. So these were extremely hard to come across, and it was great that the stories kind of matched up. So it was super cool to have experienced that, and I'll put so you guys can see the microscope here. Have the Blastoise chilling. I remember buying those at gas stations as a kid, dude. I also remember buying these at gas stations, or FYE. Very crazy. So next up, the stuff that I picked up was sealed. So the other thing that I noticed about this show, kind of going back to kind of like the investor whales versus the collectors, is I had a lot of trade-ins towards some of the bigger stuff, like bigger slabs. And so I've been seeing more of a shift of slabs being more of kind of what I like to call, more or less trade bait, to like reduce some of those prices because of how crazy the prices are for a lot of this stuff. And so that's what's really nice about going to shows is the more you trade, the cheaper you can make some of these chased cards become. I know Potential was a person who showed up at the show on Sunday. Definitely took advantage of that, which was really cool. Which will actually kind of go over some of the cards that he traded in. And so one of the things that I kind of talk about in videos is I tend to not take CGC, but with the Mew EX specifically, I kind of wanted in a weird way to kind of verify that the CGC claim is still true. And what I mean by that is CGC traditionally tends to be a lot harder to sell or to move. But since it's a Mew EX, it's a little bit of a safer kind of gamble. So I decided to take it in, and we'll see if I need to use it as trade, I will, or I'll probably sell it as graded, or if I need to sell it on eBay, whichever. But that was one I kind of decided to take a risk on. And some of the other slabs that I took. So this one I took at like 50%. Some guy really wanted some stuff, and I didn't really want this because I tend to stick with slabs that are over 100. This one was around like 80, but I took that at like 50%. He wanted it at 50%. It wasn't like I forced it on him. And then just kind of took some other random slabs. So the Charizard EX, which was pretty cool. This one was another one that the guy threw in. But then two of, like I was talking about with the Mew EX, these promos in general are often harder to grade just because of how they're positioned. And 151, I still think that, 151 in general is a good set to collect, especially as 10s. Kind of going back to Evolving Skies being one of the best sets from Sword and Shield. I think 151 is definitely another one of those sets, very similar to Evolutions, where Evolutions brought back a lot of people back into the hobby, especially with Pokemon Go. But I think 151 also brought a lot of people back into the hobby. So anytime you can get like 10s of this are pretty good collecting pieces. because any set that that's why the 30th anniversary will probably do the same thing. So anniversary sets or nostalgic sets will always do well, especially in today's market. That's an interesting take on slabs. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what's nice about them, and that's what's kind of nice about shows. The Zard Fire. I think this one. Sorry, I'm looking at two chats here. So Saint, this one was a PSA 8. And so for me with slabs, I only regardless, I only take things like 8 or above. Just makes it easier. And then anything above 100 is normally what I take. Yeah. And then with so the one thing you need to that's a really good point potential that you made, when you grade promos, you need to make sure that that you take them out of the cello pack or the pack that it comes in, because what will happen is if you submitted this Charmander in the cello pack that it came in, for example, they would grade the pack that the card is in, not the card itself, if that makes sense. So even though you think that you're doing your due diligence by kind of leaving it in the pack and expecting them to open it up, it doesn't work like that. So you have to be the one that opens it out of the pack to submit as the card. So that's why there's that little extra layer of promos being harder to grade, and some of the ones like the MUEX has a promo code card on the back, so you can't really see the whitening on the back as well. What are your thoughts on tag versus PSA? I think that I think tag has already shown some issues that they're working through with some of the cards that have kind of come back as damaged. I don't know if you guys saw the Charizard. I know Betty told me about that one, I believe. Where there was they damaged a Charizard during the grading process, and a lot of the AI not catching markups, like people using marking tools to hide whitening. But I also think that PSA definitely needs some verification in the process. And until the market decides that they're fed up, PSA will always be the best return on your investment from a grading perspective. But I think my tinfoil hat is going to say that tag's going to get bought by PSA, would be my guess. Because there was the other AI grading company that didn't do very well because all their money went into advertising, which was AGS. But I'd say from a investment perspective, PSA will always triumph. So that was the slabs that I picked up, and now here are the raw stuff that I picked up. Let me see if I can put some more light on here. So for raw, one of the things that I want to mention is when I pick up raw stuff, there's a lot of vendors who just buy raw with the intention of grading. And I think that is such a foolish idea, only because you're, again, alienating a lot of the collector base that just collect raw copies and don't grade every single card that they have. And so I like to kind of cater to a wide range of folks. In addition, it also there's a new surge of people trying to raw hunt to grade. And so there's also kind of that level too where, if you guys have gone to the grade review, the grade review process that I was showing in the beginning of stream, for example, this RCSV, it is heavily off center, right? So on the top, that top part is pretty thick compared to the bottom. But if someone, and I'll educate someone as much as I can. Like if someone says, hey, what do you think this card would get? I'm not going to lie to them. But I'm also, if someone is wanting to buy the card and whatever, I'm not going to say, hey, by the way, I don't think that card will get a 10 if they didn't ask for it, if that makes sense. It's not me hiding or obscuring. It's just you don't need to always give out all the information, if that makes sense. And that's not me trying to be shady. It's just one of those things where, you kind of have to cater to all sorts of different people, and you don't know who you're gonna kind of run into. Let's see. So PSA is for investment. What is a good grading service if I just want to preserve my old cards, not caring about the grade? I guess it really just depends. And Cody in TikTok brought a good point too. It's really if you like a certain look of a slab. I think tag looks better, like what Cody was saying. They're kind of like transparent. It's AI specific grading. The slabs themselves are a little bit flimsier, quote unquote, than PSA, but these are also people that are like attempting to shatter them. But they still protect your cards. If that makes sense. But PSA also does the same thing. And, there's going to be a point, if I'm going to be honest, there's going to be a point where you might want to part ways with your cards. And, you might want them to be in a state where you can kind of sell them if you need to, but also protect them. I know, these were some of yours. I love the primes. I love prime cards. Like anything with like CGI stuff, super, super nice. Nice little Espeon there. But yeah, I really love picking up ungraded stuff too. And nice little range as well. And one thing here that you guys might see is I bought this card at the show already graded. But some of you might be wondering, well, why is it not in the slab? Well, I shattered this thing open. Because, as a reminder, for Modern, when I keep saying 10 or bust, I literally mean 10 or bust. Like, I cracked this thing out, and that's what it used to be. But it's easier for me to sell this raw than in a PSA 9 state. So, that's why it's like this. I think I have a Dawn fan in the Umbreon still. Well, potential. I'll be back in the area on December. So if you want to stop by again, and I'm going to message me again. I don't know if you have yet, but message me your list of stuff. Because one of the things I love doing is trying to find stuff for people trying to collect. Because I think you're still looking for Jungle, Fossil, Team Rocket, I think. But yes, definitely let me know what you're still looking for, my man, and I will do my best to try to bring it in. I know December is a long way away, but I'd be more than happy to help you out if you're going to be there in December. Well, Betty, now you know. Now you know that I got it. And then this came from a kid trying to trade up challenge me 7 times in a row. That was a crazy story. And then I think Crown Zenith, I think, still is a very underrated set. I'm not trying to be underrated and like pump or whatever, but Crown Zenith was such a good sunset set to really send off Sword and Shield. Some of the hits in here were so good. I still, to this day, Leafeon V-Star is probably my favorite illustration rare from the Sword and Shield era. Like the fact that it's in kind of like the greenhouse looks so good. I'm busting my Zekrom out of its PSA slab. It got a 9. Well, you can join mine. And the one thing that I use, I know people are using bottle openers, but this is what I use to crack slabs. These are nail pliers to like pull nails out. This works flawlessly. I cannot recommend this enough. This has cracked many a slabs and it's still going. You can message me either on Instagram or Discord, whichever potential. If you go to so you're watching me on YouTube, so if you go to my profile, my YouTube profile, there should be my link tree in the description. Just message me on any of those platforms on the top, and that should be fine. Or you can just go to my website, which is just galaxiagamingtcg.com. It'll do the same thing. You can kind of contact me there too. This one was cool because some girl was really looking for the Eevee illustration rare, the one where they're all in the house, like the 7 of them. He's like, I've been looking for that Eevee for a year. And I was like, let's just do a straight trade. Old school straight trade. And that was from that one, so that was really cool. And then the Lopunny. And then 151 always does well. I always try to pick up 151 as much as I can. And just start sleeving Neo, okay. Because I also have a ton, dude. I have a ton of commons and uncommons from all of those. I can almost guarantee you that I probably can, especially for Fossil and Jungle. If you are looking for it, I have it for sure. Little Snail Charizard EX. So I think this little group was trading towards. I had a Crystal Kabutops that did not last long, but again, a lot of the heavy hitter stuff. Trading for some lower stuff that has a better chance of selling. Nice little Espeon there. And then this one was the third. I picked up this Megalatios. Probably three. This is the third copy that I had at the show. I started off with 0. I bought one, sold one, bought another one, sold the other one, and then I bought the third one. And it's still in here, but it was pretty crazy how often I was selling that. Another Magikarp. This was another one. That's pretty crazy. Got the hookup on a Leafeon SIR from Prismatic. I want one so bad. I just had I sold the Glaceon. And the only one from Prismatic that I still have is the Espeon. So I sold the Glaceon. But I think those cards are a good time to buy those. Again, these Leafeon Vs, that's what I'm talking about, the Leafeon and the Espeon. I love these Vs from Evolving Skies. They're so nice. But yeah. And then, just as one thing I don't think I've really done is, I know some of you have seen this, but I'm going to show it off. So this was the thing that I'm giving away. This is just an example. This is what I give away. So I make these little mystery boxes to kind of give away or just like sell at shows and stuff like that. But I've been liking to give them more away. So this is pretty much what it looks like. So it's that, and then there's a pack in there. So this is like the custom pack that I made. Pretty cool. It's got some cool stuff in there. And then we got some... What else is in here? So these are the packs that come inside. So the Paldean Evolved. Let's see. It's got like the pack glue still on it. 151, and then the Obsidian Flames. So that is what's currently active for the giveaway that I keep talking about, is this box right here. So if you want to enter in, again, it's completely free. You guys have been showing me so much love and support lately. I really do appreciate it. That is active on the Linktree. But definitely appreciate all the support so far. Try to do my best to kind of keep up with making content creation and doing full-time job and stuff like that. So I really do appreciate you guys hanging out and being so patient with me as I try to keep catching up. Yeah, I think I gotta figure out because I've been trying to trial streaming on YouTube in like the portrait mode. And I might have to edit the stream back, or like how the bitrate is on stream. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then Pixel, thanks for following, appreciate that. And then this is my war chest. So what else is in here, chat? Let's see. So I brought these out. I brought this out at the show. So this was the art set of the Long Crimp stuff. So that was pretty cool. A lot of people were really digging these. The Long Crimps. And then what else? There's some random stuff. Got slabs. Slabs for days. And that's my wall back there. My wall of Pokemans. So potential, you're looking for Jungle, Fossil, Base 2, Rocket, Gym 1 and 2. And I just started sleeving Neo. Alright. Yeah, I'll definitely send me a list, and I can at least in my spare time show you what I got, and we can go from there if you want. I'm not trying to pressure you or anything, but I also really like trying to help people collect their sets. So it's more selfish than anything if you want to think about it that way. But well, all right, guys. As a reminder, just one more time. Oh, there's my cat. It's Faye. Say hi to Faye, chat. She's out here chilling. Just trying to figure out how to see you guys. It's Miss Faye Cat. Look, chat. It's Miss Faye. Very cute. Yes. It's Miss Faye. But as a reminder, before I head off, we have 1 week left for the giveaway. And that is if you go to my link tree, where it is. Faye, you want to tell them? You want to tell them how to do it? Here you go, chat. Well, I appreciate that potential. Yeah, dude, it was so much fun meeting you and your kids. It was super sweet. I really had a blast. Like I love that's probably my favorite thing about vending is trying to help people collect their sets. Oh, Miss Faye, do you like doing it too? I've never had any animal like dogs love licking. My cat just loves it. She'll do this for hours if I let her. She'll just lick my hand. Anything you want to tell him, Faye? She's reading your DMs, chat. Don't say anything bad. But yeah, definitely send me that list. I'll help you out. But yeah, definitely check out the link tree for the giveaway. It's free. It's a way of me saying thanks to the community, so I definitely appreciate it. Oh, there she goes, chat. Oh, man, she is. Don't say anything bad, chat. She's reading your chat. She's my moderator. There she is. She's my moderator, chat. All right, Faye, should we say bye? All right, well, Faye and I are going to be leaving you guys. Thank you for subs, follows, chatters. I appreciate you. Faye does too. Hummus Faye. She's probably going to slap my mic here in about probably 5 seconds. She always loves smacking that. She's already locking in. Her paw is up. Watch. She will probably. But anyway. You guys are the best. I appreciate you as always. And I will catch you on the next one. Peace. Say bye, Faye. Say goodbye, Faye Faye. Ooh. Say goodbye, Faye Faye.